Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's Debsy, and the place to be, it's Debsy. Bloop, that's me. Boop, Debsy. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, so you know what that means? That means it is Man Crush Monday. Listen, this is the second time that I'm taping this because I went through, I taped one part of it, and then I stopped, and I taped the second part of Interesting Facts. But I lost all of this first part. So I'm going to tell you again that tonight's Man Crush Monday is a big thank you to my good friend Kristen Burns. She's the one who suggested this gentleman based on the fact that he is up for an Oscar this year, and we're both really hoping that he wins. So tonight's Man Crush Monday is on Brendan Fraser, and I could not be happier because I just feel like he is just a lovely, genuine, authentic human being, and so happy to shine the spotlight on Brendan Fraser. He was born December 3rd, 1968 in Indianapolis, Indiana, to Canadian parents. His big screen debut was in 1991 in the film Dogfight. He then landed his first leading role the next year, and that was in Encino Man with Pauly Shore. I believe he recreated that character. He starred as that character two more times in two additional movies with Pauly Shore. Also in 1992, he was part of the ensemble cast of School Ties that starred, among others, Matt Damon and Chris O'Donnell. 1994, he had kind of a busy year. He was in 3 films. He was in Airheads with Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi. Fun fact, that was his actual singing voice in that movie. He was in With Honors. That might have had Joe Pesci maybe. And he also played Steve Nebraska in The Scout. 1997, he was in George of the Jungle with Leslie Mann, who developed a crush on him in that. I understand. 1998, he found critical acclaim in Gods and Monsters with Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McClellan. 1999, that was when he had his biggest commercial success. That was in The Mummy, and then in 2001, he was in the sequel, The Mummy Returns. Also in 1999, he was in Dudley Do-Right and Blast from the Past. 2001, he had Monkey Bone, and then 2000, he was in Bedazzled with, I believe it was Elizabeth Hurley. 2002, he was in a political drama called The Quiet American with Michael Caine. 2003, he did something a little different, and he was in a live-action animated film, and that was a Looney Tune Back in Action. 2004, he was in another ensemble cast of a film. This was Crash, and that won the Oscar that year for Best Picture. I believe also in the ensemble cast was Sandra Bullock, if I remember correctly. I think Sandra Bullock and Ryan Phillippe. In between 2004 and 2008, he made some guest appearances on TV shows, Scrubs, The Simpsons, and King of the Hill, and I believe he was also in some plays in the West End in London. And then 6 years after his last Mummy movie, he then was in The Mummy: Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. He was also in 2008, he was also in the 3D adaptation of Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, and he was in a fantasy film called Inkheart. In 2010, he starred on Broadway in a play on Broadway, and I believe that was for like a week or 9 days. He also had the film Furry Vengeance and another movie called Whole Lotta Soul. 2013, he was in a black comedy called Pawn Shop Chronicles. He played an Elvis Presley impersonator. And then 2016, he replaced Ray Liotta in the movie Line of Descent. He had a bunch of TV shows then. I believe he was in season 3 of The Affair. He was in the FX anthology series called Trust. And then he was on the TV show Titans, and also its spinoff, which was Doom Patrol. And all of those TV shows coupled together is what they called the Renaissance. Not the Renaissance, but the Renaissance, which I think is kind of clever. In 2021, he was in the movie No Sudden Move, and currently right now, he is starring in The Whale, which has garnered him many nominations. He was nominated for the Golden Globe, the SAG, which he won last night. What else? He won the Hollywood Critics Association. I believe that was either last weekend or this weekend. So he has been up for a lot. And for his performance in The Whale, he garnered a 6-minute standing ovation at the Venice International Film Festival. And watching the video of that was so just heartwarming because he looked so incredibly touched, and he almost looked like he was like, me, you're standing up for me. And it was so sweet. And it was just so lovely to see that happen. Upcoming movies that he has a comedy called Brothers that he's going to be starring in, and also Martin Scorsese directed a film by the name of Killers of the Flower Moon. For his charity work, he has been a celebrity judge for this charity called, I believe it's called the Dancing Stars of Greenwich, or Greenwich. I'm thinking it's Greenwich. And that's been since 2018. And what it does, it's a charity gala event, and they raise money for a nonprofit organization called Abilis. I believe it's ABILIS. And it's basically it's a charity that supports more than 800 individuals and their families who have disabilities. And that's in Fairfield County, Connecticut. Now, I'm not quite sure if he still lives in Connecticut, but I know for a while there he has. He very well may still live in Connecticut. He also supports the charity Film Aid International. And a really interesting, cool fact, he was in a movie called Gimme Shelter with Vanessa Hudgens, I believe. And he donated his entire salary from that film to a women's shelter called Several Sources Shelter, and it's in New York. So that's some real cool things and charity that he has donated to. Okay, and here are some interesting facts about Brendan Fraser. And I have been very, very conscious about how I pronounce his last name, because once again, my good friend Kristen Burns, she had sent me a TikTok where he goes through and Brendan Fraser pronounces his last name. And I'm sure in the past I had always said Brendan Fraser, but it's really not. It's Fraser, like razor. So that's why I consciously make sure that I say Fraser every time. I don't want to mispronounce his name because I have my last name mispronounced constantly all the time. So, and I know how much I don't like that. So as far as some interesting things about Brendan, he was actually the first American actor to be inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame. There were also several different roles that he was considered for, but he didn't get. One of them was Superman. That role went to Brandon Routh. He was also up for consideration for Modern Family to play Phil Dunphy. And also he was up for consideration for the Inspector Gadget movie, and that went to Matthew Broderick. He has had his share of surgeries. He's had to have a knee replacement, vocal cord surgery, a spine operation, and I believe it was 2 laminectomies. So he would also always do his own stunts. Well, one stunt went a little too far because, and it was in 1999 on the Mummy. And he was actually legally dead for 18 seconds. His character in the movie was to be hung in a hangman's noose, and he was to be saved. Well, it didn't go quite the way they expected it to go. The noose was tightened tightened too much. It was too tight by mistake, and he was dead for 18 seconds. So that's not great. His number one acting debut, like before he was even in the movies, was he was on an episode of America's Most Wanted. His family moved during his childhood a lot. He lived in California, Seattle, Washington, Ottawa, Ontario, the Netherlands, and Switzerland. Also, I had read somewhere here that his maternal grandfather, his maternal uncle was the only Canadian to win a gold medal in the 1952 Summer Olympics. That's pretty cool. And his father, what was his father? His father was a former journalist who worked as a Canadian service officer for the Government Office of Tourism. So there we go. Now, as far as his issues, and this is why I'm so glad to see him back and see him being embraced. He had a lot of issues with his health because of like accidents on set. But so I had mentioned at the start of the video that Brendan Fraser had been kind of not non-existent, but he kind of disappeared a little bit from the acting scene and from film and TV. And that's because and I think this is so terrible, but in 2018, he had an interview with GQ magazine where he had said that in 2003, he had said that he was sexually assaulted by the then president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. At the time, that was Philip Burke. And that the Hollywood Film Press Association is the organization that puts on and votes for the Golden Globe Awards. And he came out and he said that this is what happened. It happened to him at a party that he was at. He brought this up and he feels as though he might have been blacklisted from Hollywood because of this. If that is the case, that is absolutely terrible and disgusting. So coupled with the depression that was brought on from all of his health problems, and I believe his mom had his mother had passed away too. That just kind of launched him into a depression and led to a pause in his career, which he seems just like, when you see the videos of him meeting fans at like conventions, he just seems like such a genuine person that you hate to hear this happen to anybody, but he just seems like such a kind-hearted, authentically genuine, kind man. I really am hoping that he wins the Oscar, just because I feel like I feel like Hollywood did him dirty. That's what I think. So that is Brendan Fraser. I hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, this right here, this Man Crush Monday, was done just because I think he's just a lovely soul. So I'm going to put some pictures up in here. I think we're going to take a walk down memory lane and just think about some of his roles that he has had, and just relive the joy that he's brought to a lot of people. I know he would never see this, but thank you so very much for all that you do and just the lovely life that you have led. And I think also in the next few weeks, I think I might be trying to highlight and spotlight some of the men that are nominated for Oscars this year. So that being said, I hope everybody has a great evening. If nobody told you yet today, I love you. You're loved, seen, and heard. Please make sure that you put love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, hope, and positivity out there. Please reach out to your neighbor, your friend, your brother, sister, mother, aunt, uncle, father, anyone who you think might be suffering or might just need a smile or a kind word. Reach out to them, and let's take care of each other. And I love you guys. Have a great day. Bye, guys.